Hello, good people. Good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're catching us from across the globe. Welcome to Sukibe YouTube Conversations, where we embrace authenticity one conversation at a time. And as we said, as we are doing the last episode, in the month of June, we are majoring on men's mental health because we have seen a lot of our men, our husbands, our fathers, our sons affected by this giant of mental health. But the beauty of it is that there is a solution, and all is not lost. And that is why we are having this conversation. So my name is Susan Kibe. At Sulu, I'm born again. I love Jesus. I'm a product of grace. And I'm very, very grateful to God for every support you have accorded us this far. Susan Kibe is the author of Gracefully Broken, which is a story of my life, and the testimony of beautiful ashes that I am. And my second book is almost out. I'm super excited, guys. I know I have promised you forever, but this promise is materializing maybe in the next month or two. Yeah, and so today I'm joined by an amazing friend of mine. And one thing I think he doesn't know as he's talking is that I feel our first degrees were the same. My first degree was in IT. Please don't ask me where IT is today if you meet me on the road, because Papa's caught up with me. And so I have an amazing guest. I want him to introduce himself in case you are not here for part one of this conversation, where he told us about his story, where he's coming from, who he is, and we get deeper in this part two as we discuss men's mental health. Where is the solution? Where is the gap? What do we need to do? Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Susan, for having me. My name is Isaac Kamau. I'm born again, and I'm a counseling psychologist. I'm an author of 2 books. The first one is The Deception Behind Suicide, and the second one is The Marriage Puzzle. Yeah. What else did I say?
Who is Isaac? Are you married? Do you have a family?
Yes, I'm married. I have 1 wife and 3 kids.
Amazing.
Yes.
So last time we had this conversation, you told us, you took us through a journey of how at some point in your life you went through depression.
Yep.
And you were suicidal. And we thank God that did not win.
Yes.
And you learned it was a deception.
Yep.
But Isaac, we are living in days where a lot of men, you see, as women, I'm in Chama, I have this BFF I can call. Unless really a woman is, maybe I don't know what situation would make her to be quiet.
Yeah.
Sometimes you are able to, most of the times you're able to get help, which is not the case for our men.
Yep.
Our husbands will go through probably a challenge in business, and now when he comes home, he's trying to think how business did not go well. He's looking at our children who need to go to school. He's looking at even his ego as a man, for him to go and ask for money. Yeah, but how does that look like for when a man is in that space? And I don't know what to ask. What makes it difficult?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question, because I've been there as a man, as a provider. So many men are exposed to depression because men carry a lot of ego. So it's hard for a man to tell you his problems, even not just to any other man, but even to you as a wife. Like, I'm going through this in business. We usually try to fix things, and then we want to bring in a solution. So as long as these things are not fixed, that's now where stress comes in. I come home and I'm the provider. I'm expected to pay rent. These are children I've brought to the world, and I don't have a way of providing for them. Maybe I've lost a job. Like now, in our country, businesses are not doing very well. So many men have found themselves in that space with loans, not having a way to pay these loans, with bills, our kids in private schools. There's no way of adjusting. For example, they just, like, the options are closed to them. So men are mostly messed up by the ego. They have to bring in this face, like, I'm strong and I'm doing well, yet in the background things are not working. And Unfortunately, like very few men, even in our counseling sessions, very few men come because that will be like the last option. Actually, look at someone coming to my session for 3,000 and the problem is finances. So they won't come. And also lack of they feel like, do I really need that? Okay, I think it's because we are also like in Kenya, in a third world country, where maybe psychology is not very well embraced, but very few men. A man will prefer to go to a club and drink, trying to, manage the pain, the stress, the anxieties, the fear. But unfortunately, there are no solutions that are still found in the clubs. Yeah, so it's such a big challenge because men are quiet. They don't talk. At least women, they talk. Hey, I went through. Hey, you had. Hey, the women just be chapa some moshene and then they'll be okay. Yeah. But for men, they're dying. And there's no difference between the brain of a man and the brain of a woman when it comes to the vulnerability to things like depression. We all have an emotional brain. We have gone through trauma from the time we were small children. And so this is the same brain, but now it's a brain that is holding so much sadness, so much pain, so much anger and resentment. And now, unfortunately, that's why you see now men react in terms of, assaults. They can just open their mouth and say something, and you're like, why is this the same person? That because the brain has continued to face more, there's a pile up. It's like, for instance, something like anger is usually like files. It's formed in phases. And if I'm not dealing with the things that cause me to be angry, that domain becomes very strong. You've ever seen, maybe you step on someone and then the next words that follow, you're like, is it just the stepping? Just the stepping. I mean, how valuable is that? I can even give you 100 shillings. You go and brush them again. Then it's not an issue to do. That was just a trigger. There's a formation of anger over a period of time. So that was just, it's like in IT, talk of a database. A database, a record of files. So it's just that trigger, that reference, not one file, but a lot of files in the database. And so they react that way. And so you see now when you talk about mental health, we are talking about emotional health, the cognitive health. And in most cases, the main challenge is in the emotional health. Yeah.
Amazing. What I want you to tell us what that does to the family as you talk about this book, The Marriage Puzzle, how you got here, and for you to be able to even put down the thoughts, because a lot of families are affected because of what you said. He may not be able to tell me the deal did not go well, or maybe he had invested some money somewhere and we have lost it. So even the energy to come and tell me you have lost the money is not there. So as the man, he's battling with all the loss. How do we recover and all that? So what does that do to the family?
Yeah. That is, we are so relational. We were created to relate. And the first thing that is attacked in a human being for them to fall is their relationships. And so when I cannot relate well with my family, it becomes a challenge. And most of us, we are running dysfunctional families because we have also come from dysfunctional families. I found my dad beating up my mom, shouting. And then I did what we call SEL, social and emotional learning. I picked that. It is a program that has been running in me, and I've taken it to my home. So I'm also passing it, the same thing, to my kids. I remember when I was growing up back at our home, the main problem from our family was guys shouting and screaming like madmen, and everybody was in a hurry. Everybody was running. I remember even our cat was just running without any cause. Like my brother would shout at it, "Hey, pussy, what are you doing there? You're fool. Why are you not going to catch rats? You are idle. You just want to eat without laboring, you know." And so the pussy had mastered that. And it was always running, yeah? So even animals, they learn in the house, this is not a safe space. Let me just stay safe, yeah? And so when a man is not emotionally healthy, they are not going to have, actually relationships are made out of emotions. The feelings, how am I feeling today? I feel joy. If I have joy, I'll pass joy to you. Have you ever been with a sad person and you automatically became sad? You see, sometimes you just see someone cry and you start crying even without knowing, especially for ladies. They start crying without knowing why they are crying. Even you have not asked them, by the way, why are you crying? Maybe it's smoke or something. You just start crying, yeah? Because emotions are very viral or very infectious. And so this man, having these challenges, having anger, outbursts, having frustrations. Do you know, by the way, there are men who will just find themselves fighting in the house because they don't know, but it's because a team like Man U has lost. They support the team with a lot of ego. Mimi ni wa Man U, and then you lose 7 games consecutively, and then you go home, then just a trigger. Now combining the loss plus so many other losses you're facing, the loss in business, maybe at some point you lost a parent, maybe at some point we have lost so many things honestly from the time we were born. So that one will cause us to now respond to emotions. It will, the triggers, just something very small, something that is not even worth of any kind of a thought or any kind of, it's something that is completely baseless, will cause us to really jump in outbursts. Yeah. So what that does is that it can't cause you to have a healthy relationship. And that's why we are facing a lot of breakages in marriages. Divorces are so many because of the error that is happening in our brains. Yeah.
So what's the solution? What when a man finds themselves in whatever it is, it could be a family issue that has drained them, and some of them probably is even childhood trauma that you've grown with, you are not aware, and so then now life happens. So there you are seeing the pile up. So what would you say is the solution to help this man to be effective?
Yes. Yeah, that's a very good question, because when we went to school, we learned a lot of things. I don't know, geography, which I've never used until today. History. But there's one very important education that has been neglected, and that is emotional intelligence. That's, for me, that school is very critical. Actually, we should really catch up with time, because when you look at the brain of a person, the cognitive, of course, is the one that learns in school. But do we have this school of emotions? Because these men will always feel that, counseling probably is not for me. But through emotional schools, that's when these guys will realize, hey, by the way, I need to see a counselor. By the way, I need help. People don't even know their personalities. They don't even know why they respond the way they respond. You can imagine, like for me, and I'm a psychologist, I'm always seeing my therapist to just check on me, whether my state is okay. But now you find this guy who has been through so much trauma from childhood. Even now, they have never, ever gone to a counseling session. They have never educated their emotions. And so these are I call it emotional illiteracy. And that any illiteracy is a time bomb in any area. Actually, there's something I always say that we suffer most in the areas we are most ignorant. That area you know nothing about is like I told some guys, if you found me today, maybe you are going to Ethiopia or the US, and now you found me on that plane. I'm the pilot. Please run for your life. Be sure all of us, none of us will get to the US because I know nothing about pilots. I know nothing about aviation. Yeah. So we really failing because it's an area that we don't have knowledge about. So for me, emotional intelligence is very critical. So a school of emotional intelligence, and whereby even if there is no maybe this very well structured school, there are books, and that's why when people come to us as counselors, we'll be able to guide. Go through this book, go through chapter 1, chapter 2. The next time you are coming, already we've started learning. And that way, it will lead to even healing from the childhood traumas. We will even understand ourselves. Why do I behave the way I behave? And how am I going to check on my emotional health as much as my cognitive health? Just to wrap up to say that so many people today are in jails because of emotional illiteracy. They killed, that's anger. They raped, that's lust. All these things are in the domain of emotions. So it's in the emotional literacy. That's where we'll find solution. Even to our generations in future, we really need to put these things together. Otherwise, we're in trouble. Yeah.
And I when you're talking about that, I'm feeling challenged because part of what I do, I'm an emotional wellness coach. So what you're talking about is very true.
Yeah.
About people studying their emotions. But allow me to ask you this, because now you happen to be on my set as a psychologist. I have recently observed like 85 to 90% of my clients, their first session on introducing themselves, it starts by saying, I'm a firstborn. There's something that I don't know whether it's a lot of responsibilities that are put up on you. And then what is that thing that makes a firstborn? Because now imagine there's a man who is a firstborn, went through trauma, goes through life. So they don't know, everybody, we're all looking up to you. Their siblings looking up to them. He comes the head of the family, all of us looking up to you. Do you think there's something people maybe miss out on or lack just by that element of being a firstborn that makes them to forfeit themselves?
Yeah. There's so much sacrifice, and especially firstborns who are coming from dysfunctional families. They end up taking up the role of maybe the father and maybe the role of the mother. They find themselves being the parents for these kids, and then yet they are children, and they are also expected to behave maturely, yet these are children. This is a space where if a lastborn is allowed to be, you are not. That we are, like I myself, I'm a lastborn.
Me too, atushautiana.
Hey, yes, allow me to be. I'm the baby here. Yeah, hata naweza nyonya kidole at 20 years. I'm a lastborn. Come on, but the firstborns, most of the firstborns are never allowed to be, and especially by parents who really don't understand, who don't have the skills for parenting. So these guys end up becoming parents when they're kids. So that in itself is trauma.
Yeah.
That's trauma. Then as they grow, they're expected also to provide for these guys, educate them, I don't know, do what. And now when they are not able, it gets them into a space of helplessness. And I was doing my research and I was finding that one of the main causes of suicide is feeling helpless. Like there's nothing I can do about this. I don't have money to pay for this. Now what do I do? How do I do? I just probably need to die or something. Yeah. Yeah. So that's one of the main causes.
They miss out. They miss out on something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the care and all.
Yes.
So when a man is able to find help, number one, even to express themselves and find help, that means we have a healthy family. He's whole himself, healthy family, healthy nation, healthy even churches.
Yeah.
But Is there a way? I don't know whether I don't even know how to ask this question, but one of the reasons why men are not able to ask for help is because of the ego, right? But is there a way like men can work around that? I don't know whether to call it, as we have support groups, we have, I don't know how men can be able to find themselves in like spaces where they know it's okay and it does not make you weak. Yeah. I don't know
Yeah.
how that can work.
Yeah, like one of the best programs I've ever done is called Man Enough. You've heard about it, yeah? It was great. Men come together, men talk about men issues, and we were all surprised that, oh, it's not just me. You also go through this. And such programs would be very effective. Programs like Man Enough and many others that can maybe are there or they can be developed, where men will get to safe spaces whereby they don't judge each other. A place they can talk with, a place because they are psychologists, they are professionals, and all that. And we say, we're in this space because we are men. And whatever is, then they are divided into groups, like cohorts or something. And in that group, I want you to take care of that man. Take care of the men in that group. Make sure you're catching up. You following up. You're talking. Those because now after the big group, now there needs to be smaller groups which are going to really be support groups. And these are genuine support groups, because without such kind of structures, which are quite professional, you just find men in some other support groups, like maybe, men's chamas may involve probably drinking, I don't know what. There are so many others, but those chamas are not really caring for the man's mental health. For me, the man's mental health is a structure that is based on professionalism and on God, where God is involved. Because for example, if I'm in a chama that is encouraging me if the first wife gives me headache, I get a second one, then that affects my mental that affects my mental health, yeah? Because now I've added more responsibility, I've added more kids. And again, like there's something I learned with this guy called Solomon. I usually call him Mansolo. He's my favorite in the Bible. After this guy married so many women, in Ecclesiastes 2:26, he says that to the man who pleases God, he gives wisdom, happiness, and understanding. And he said this at his old age. So that means he had first of all experimented everything. And so I'm like, what is this guy? What was going through his emotions and his thoughts after all this? His feelings and all that. And I'm like, what is this space that can provide a man with that safety? And my conclusion is there be God, number one, in that space, and there be a lot of professionalism. So that even whoever supports the man has been trained. Like if somebody comes to you and they talk to you, usikuje tena kutupea story, we are providing a safe space. We are not saying this so that you go and tell other people, but we are just providing a space for all of us to heal. Yes.
Amazing. I want to believe that every man out there, our brothers, our husbands, our sons, that you have received direction, that there is hope. And so we pray, hope, and believe that even through this conversation, that any wounded warrior who could be out there will know what to do, that stepping out to get help is not weakness, and that there are also safe spaces, support groups that you can be part of that will help you to find your healing and help you realize who you are and help you realize your potential, so that you can do what we said in the beginning. We are all claiming our crowns, because even as the man you are, you're still the king, and your crown, it may be invisible, but if you bend, it will fall. So God bless you, and may God do you well. And I look forward to hearing your engagements. Please share this video with your brother, with your dad, with your husband, with your male colleagues, and let them know that there is hope and there are people who have conquered. the challenges that are affecting men in matters mental health. And so feel free to reach out on the numbers that will be down on your screen. Send us an email, WhatsApp message. Will be able to guide you. And remember, these books for Isaac are available at Nuria. And also, if you reach out to us, we will connect you to him. So until next time, God bless you and may God do you well. Thank you for your time and thank you for being here today. Thank you.